We have officially entered Super Bowl week. A little bittersweet because this is our last meaningful game coming up. But we do hope that this season will go out with a bang. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright with CJ Medeiros and Justin Tucker as always. So as I said, this is the last game coming up. It's a little sad. We're going to get into our off-season coverage pretty soon, actually. And we do have a lot to talk about, though. So we're going to hit on the Chiefs and their injuries going into the Super Bowl. We're going to take a look back at Jalen Hurts' career, which really has turned into a roller coaster. And we're going to talk about some potential X factors going into Super Bowl 57. But first, we need to touch on the most recent material, which is the Pro Bowl. So the first ever Pro Bowl flag football game happened this past weekend with the NFC beating the AFC 35-33. But across ABC, ESPN, Disney XD, the event was down 5% in ratings and 6% in viewership from last year's traditional Pro Bowl. Keep in mind, they took away the Pro Bowl. We covered this during the offseason when this first happened. They took away the Pro Bowl and replaced it with something new in hopes to make it better. Viewership and ratings says otherwise. So, guys, do we keep going down this road or do we need to switch it up again?
Man, I have no idea, to be honest. I miss the old days of the Pro Bowl when the best athletes and the best players in the NFL used to go up there and have fun and still play football like it was meaningful to something. I remember the pride of the Pro Bowl. I remember the 07 Pro Bowl and how memorable that was. And, oh, man, I just miss the old days. Nowadays, I don't even know how to feel about the Pro Bowl. I think nowadays players smartly don't want to play in it because they don't want to get injured and cost themselves millions. So therefore, there's a lack of effort in it. And to be honest, I didn't like this. I thought it was an okay format, but as far as like the Pro Bowl game, I didn't like it. I didn't even, the first time in a long time, I didn't even watch the Pro Bowl. I just avoided it altogether. I went to do something else because I'm like, this Pro Bowl sucks. Even though my quarterback showed up, Tyler Huntley, way to go. What? But overall, I do think they need to either revert it back or try to shake it up again to make it more interesting. But at least they did something. I will give the NFL credit for that.
Yeah, man. The nomination part of it has been one of the lone bright spots of the Pro Bowl. But I gotta say, man, the fact that they put in Tyler Huntley, that's an insult to everyone else who's in the Pro Bowl. All right, CJ.
No.
Well, you want to answer that?
Yes. So? Everyone else got hurt. Josh Allen was hurt. Joe Burrow was hurt. Mahomes went to the Super Bowl. Herbert was hurt.
Herbert's hurt?
Yes. And so once Lamar went down, they said, Tyler, you want to go? And he said yes. He was the only other option.
Anybody else. Give me anyone else. It's just so,
What do you want him to do? It was Huntley, Lawrence, and Derek Carr.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, AFC standards, yes, that is a bad combination of quarterbacks. But Trevor Lawrence didn't do so bad.
Lawrence is fine. Lawrence is fine. Carr, I guess, is all right. But Huntley, man, you can't let that man in. You can't.
Who else would you let in over him? Everybody else has inferior stats.
We'll sit down and we'll think about that another time. But I do want to touch on the topic at hand. So, CJ, you go.
One time, I saw a dumpster fire. And then one time I saw the Pro Bowl. And the Pro Bowl was an even bigger disaster. Now, I come here today with a radical and perhaps upsetting statement. The Pro Bowl is pointless and either needs to have an even bigger overhaul or just be abolished outright. Because it's becoming abundantly clear the players do not care. They put in no effort, and there's no pride to be in the Pro Bowl anymore. Then there's just the way they did it. I mean, it was always a flag football game, but now especially, like they literally actually made it a flag football game, which somehow made it worse. I didn't even think these changes were that bad, but good Lord, the NFL bungled it. I don't even know how you manage that. And look, I am just going to list some rapid fire ideas on how we fix it. First, the week after the Super Bowl. All right? I'm sorry. I mean,
It's not bad.
I do think that. Next, here's an idea. Move it out of the U.S. because I guarantee you more players would want to go and showcase their skills in front of a fresh foreign audience. You're expanding to like Mexico City and Germany and the UK. Have a Pro Bowl there. There's all kinds of social media ops for you, NFL. Take this one. It's on me. In return, I just want a stadium named after me. That's neither here nor there. No, I'm joking. But seriously, I think you move it to the week after the Super Bowl so that, players that were in the Super Bowl who usually wouldn't play because they were in the Pro Bowl. I mean, players, you know what I mean.
Because they were in the Super Bowl or they weren't healthy.
Yeah, or they weren't healthy or they were in the Super Bowl. Then you move it past the Super Bowl so those players can play. And I guarantee you they would try in front of a foreign audience. Also, the players themselves get to travel and sightsee. It's literally a win-win for everyone. Like I said, those are like just two surface level ideas on how to fix it. I could go more, but NFL, please. I just think it's a good idea.
Okay, so I am one to defend the Pro Bowl, not for what it is now, but for what I want it to become. Because as somebody who is also a baseball fan, growing up watching the MLB All-Star Game in those activities, even the NBA, not the All-Star Game, but some of the other stuff that goes on, the activities, the dunk contests, those are all fun. That's all fun stuff to watch. And I kind of want something where you bring together all of that season's best from that NFL season, and you do something fun. And it doesn't even have to be a game. I think there's one of two solutions that they need to do. Number one, you do all of these events, all these sort of little small abilities competitions or skills competitions. That's the way we'll put it. Skills competitions, and you make it as the Olympics or something like that, and organize it by each team and their all-stars. That would be really fun. Something like that. Another thing you could do is instead of having it be the Pro Bowl be one game, I agree, maybe flag football, that's fine, because the players don't want to get hurt, but you have it be a tournament, a 5-on-5 tournament, and you have a certain number of teams, and you have team captains, and you pick the teams. Something like that. And I think that'll give a little bit more of a competitive edge to that event, and it'll also be something that's entertaining for the fans to watch, because they'd say, "Oh, I love that player. Let's see how his team does." And you do a little tournament with it. You have a little trophy or something. Those are just two examples of what they could do. And honestly, I think those are the best things that they could do, because I mean, it has to be something that the players care about and the fans will engage in, or else there's no point in doing it. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Right? No one will want to do it if it's not an engaging thing to do. So something like that. But yeah, I mean, I am one to defend, we can't abolish this entirely. You can't supplant baseball as America's pastime and not have an all-star game. You have to figure it out somehow. And I think that's the way you do it. Do either a 5-on-5 flag football tournament or you do an Olympics. One of those two. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I kind of like that idea. I mean, Adam, I do think you and I could probably merge our ideas, if I'm being honest.
And do it after the Super Bowl too.
Do it after the Super Bowl in a foreign country, but do all the games you suggested. I really believe that would be how you fix it if you just combine our ideas.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to do either or, and we could also why not do also an Olympics and a 5-on-5 tournament?
Exactly.
Like those have you seen some of the ideas that they used to have for the Pro Bowl competitions? Those were fun to watch, like kick-tac-toe.
Oh, yeah. Or what about when they just used to put the nose of the football in chalk and they just have the strongest arms in the league, just bomb it down the field, literally just so you could throw it the furthest. That was fun.
Big old javelin competition. That would be where is the creativity here for the NFL? We're all sitting here making great ideas and they're just not doing that. They are the Tobys of the NFL in office terms. All right. So I want to switch gears and get into our Super Bowl coverage. So the Chiefs going into this Super Bowl, they already had their quarterback high ankle sprain, Patrick Mahomes, but their wide receiver core is getting a little troublesome with their injuries. Already one of them has been ruled out. And we're going to talk about how much that's going to affect the Chiefs in this game and if it will affect the outcome. That's next. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, Justin Tucker. So going into this season, so right off the bat, over this past off season, the Chiefs were forced to trade away quarterback Tyreek Hill. He didn't want to be there anymore. He wanted to be paid and they couldn't pay him. And a lot of people thought that they would regress as a team. Turns out that wasn't the case. They stayed the same. They brought in some players who stepped up, but they're kind of getting hit by the injury bug at that position. So wide receiver Mecole Hardman was already ruled out in this game. Wide receivers Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney haven't practiced yet, although there is optimism. And Kadarius Toney also straight up said that he believes he is going to play. So there's optimism there. But even if they do play, especially with the injury history with Kadarius Toney and Juju Smith-Schuster, he has some injury issues as well. Even if those two play, who knows how much of an impact they'll make and if they will be able to stay in the game. And we already know that we have Patrick Mahomes who's nursing a high ankle sprain right now. So guys, how do the Chiefs overcome these injuries?
CJ.
Oh, I thank you, Justin. You're very generous. So I'll tell you how the Chiefs overcome these injuries. And it's going to be a tall order, but here's a revolutionary concept. Run the ball. And I know Philly's got a good run defense, but that's what they're counting on. A lot of the football with defensive scheming is fear. They're going to force you to pass, which is why you have to get up, stand up to them, spit in their face and say, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to run it regardless. Different formations, use an eye, a shotgun, two backs to the backfield, screens, do something. You have Jerick McKinnon, who's been woefully underrated and who's actually a great spark for your offense, and you're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back off IR. No one's seen him for a bit, and he's probably itching to get back in there and proving his worth. And on top of that, you've got rookie sensation Isaiah Pacheco. And they're all adept at catching passes out of the backfield. They're all fast, and they're all decent. So my point is, you basically have a three-headed monster. That is how you overcome your injuries to your wide receiver core. Because Travis Kelce is probably going to be double the entire game, which is why the running game is going to be your friend, especially if Mahomes' high ankle sprain gets worse and if people like MVS or Juju can't play.
All right, Tuck.
Oh, man. I sort of agree and I sort of disagree with CJ. I understand that he wants to get the running game involved, and that is a good idea, but I don't trust that O-line of the Chiefs to keep Patrick Mahomes, to keep the running backs safe and sound to get at least like 5 yards per carry. I just don't trust them. Against that Eagles run and against that defense, I don't trust them. However, if they can somehow operate and get the passing yards instead of the rushing yards through the running backs, that's where I think it'll get interesting. If Vaquero can somehow catch the ball out of the backfield and gain the yardage himself instead of trying to go through the hole where there's nothing there, I believe that there is a way for them to be able to keep the offense on schedule and not take horrendous like losses or sacks or whatever. Get the ball out quick. Don't take any sacks because I don't think they can overcome it if all their receivers are hurt, and keep in front of the chains. If the Chiefs can do that, and I believe they can because they have a play caller like Andy Reid and a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, I believe that they can keep ahead of the chains and still keep this game interesting. If they rely too much on the run, I don't see them winning this game. I just don't trust that running attack, me personally, even though I like what Vaquero is doing. But overall, if they can somehow work the short passing game, I think they have a real chance at winning this.
Yeah, so I don't going up against this Eagles defensive line, they're going to get after the quarterback, and they're going to come after him early and often. So the way they're going to what?
After him early and often. Come after him early and often.
I said get after him.
Sorry. Continue.
Now that you got it. Come on. All right. So what you have to do is kind of go with a West Coast style offense. Kind of to replace that running game, you go with throwing short passes because you for a couple of reasons. That pass rush is really good. So you're not naturally, even with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, you're not going to have a lot of time. On top of that, Patrick Mahomes isn't healthy. He was hobbled the entire game against the Bengals, and they were still able to win in spite of all of that. They may not be that as lucky this time around. So what you have to do, run a dink and dunk style offense. Throw short passes to Juju, to Kadarius Toney. Rely on run after the catch. And whenever there's a deep shot to Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Travis Kelce, then you take that shot. But you can't run that vertical style offense that they like to do. They can't. They're not going to be able to do that, especially with the state of this team. But CJ mentioned Jerick McKinnon. I mean, that guy. You talk about a dark horse candidate to win Super Bowl MVP if the Chiefs do wind up winning that game. I mean, he has been a force for them who no one is talking about really. And he's doing it in the passing game. That is perfect for this type of game. They're not going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. So you play that style where you're doing the screen plays, where you're throwing it in the flats. Rely on that run after the catch, and it will help you. So they really need to do something like that because you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, and your wide receiver core is very banged up. They have a lot of their players still playing, but who knows if they'll even be 100% or if they'll even last the whole game. Especially Kadarius Toney. That guy's body's made out of glass. But when he's playing and healthy, he's like a poor man's Deebo Samuel, that guy. Holy crap, that guy. I mean, he needs to just stay healthy. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that because the Chiefs, they have a really good team. And that's been one of the main issues this season is kind of staying healthy over there. But they do have kind of that pick your poison offense for that wide receiver core. But I do want to change topics here and move on to the Eagles, which we haven't really been able to cover so much. They don't have as many storylines as the Chiefs because they're just such a well-made team. And for the entirety of this season, they've been the team to beat. They've had the best record, and they've steamrolled through practically everybody, at least when they're fully healthy. So we're going to get to that. And more specifically, Jalen Hurts and the career that he has had so far, because that is truly something to look at here. So we're going to get to that and take a look back at his career, just because it really is insane what this guy has gone through, and he's still in his early 20s. That's next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, Secret Weapon Consulting, Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, Justin Tucker. All right, so Jalen Hurts has had quite the roller coaster of a career, and it has reached yet another crazy point. So we're just going to take a look back here. I jotted down some notes. So just looking at his college career, so 4-star recruit going into Alabama, became the first true freshman to start at quarterback for Bama in 32 years. His sophomore year, benched for Tua in the national championship. The very next season, during the college football playoffs, he replaced an injured Tua in the SEC championship game, and then he led them to a victory. The very next season, he transferred to Oklahoma, had a career year in his college career, 32-8 touchdown interception ratio, 3,800 yards, and he wound up getting drafted by the Eagles in the second round, 53rd overall in the 2020 NFL draft, when they already had Carson Wentz, mind you, a top 5 pick in the NFL in the 2016.
Yes,
I want to say 2016 NFL draft.
Yep, and he wasn't just a top 5 pick; he was number 2 overall. Carson Wentz.
Exactly. So this guy, and a lot of people still believed him in him at that point, and even Jalen Hurts recently has gone on record during some press conferences saying he didn't feel that the Eagles even wanted him. They just drafted him because they felt he was the best player available and just kind of took him. So then he replaced Wentz at the end of the 2020 season. A lot of people, you guys already know, Wentz struggled towards the end of that season. And then he started in 2021 and led the team to the playoffs with a 9-8 record. He had okay stats. He had 16 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. I don't have the stats in front of me. Fast forward to today. Okay. 14-3 record. That's good for best in the entire league. And he's an MVP candidate. Also, the team is in the Super Bowl and is an early favorite to win the damn thing. So guys, I mean, what do you make of this career for Jalen Hurts?
I'll go first. Honestly, a shocker. I can remember last year us thinking it might be a make or break year for Jalen Hurts, considering what happened in the playoffs. We were all thinking like he has to prove it this year, otherwise they'll look for a quarterback in the near future. And all of a sudden, he's turned it around. He's looked better from the pocket. He looks better as a runner. His all-around game has been better, and now he's in possible contention for league MVP. I don't think he'll win it, but he's a contender, and he's led his team to the NFL best 14-3 record, which included a stomping of the Giants and a stomping of the 49ers. I mean, his resume right now has been pretty impressive. He's made the playoffs 2 of his 3 seasons as an Eagle, has now won an NFC championship game, and now is looking to add a Super Bowl to that resume. And he's a national champion and a 2-time SEC champion. I mean, he has a complete football resume from college all the way up to the pros and even high school. And for him to be where he's at just shows the hard work and dedication he's put in towards the game. And it's impressive.
Yeah. And mind you, he's 24. He's done all this, and he still has probably 10, 15 years left in the NFL. So unbelievable stuff. CJ?
In a sick way, I hope the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And while they're celebrating, I want every Eagles fan to sit there and eat their words. All of the offseason is like, why are we giving him another chance? He's not the guy. We should go after a quarterback. Crickets now, I tell you. Crickets. And I'm sorry, Philly, should he win the Super Bowl, you owe him an apology. And I mean, like I said, I mean, they were just so much vitriol for him. I mean, there were some of us like us who said there was potential, but we all acknowledged it was a make or break year. Well, that, because it was. Then there were people that outright said he can't be the guy. I'm sorry. Please fill out your apology forms and have them on my desk by Monday if they win. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, I liked him. I thought he could be good, but I had no idea he'd be this good. He's earned everything, and I do believe that he is in line for an extension. And believe me, he is worth every penny. I think he's earned it this year, and I think Philly's got their franchise guy. No bones about it.
This guy might be the most storied quarterback in the NFL playoffs this year. And that even includes Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant quarterback. I mean, go back all the way to college. This guy has had to overcome a lot. He struggled in his first appearance in the college football playoffs. And in the national championship game, he got benched, and his replacement led them to the promised land. Then the very next season, he's able to come in and redeem himself. And then the very next season, when he transfers to Oklahoma, he had a career year, and teams still overlooked him. He did not get drafted in the first round. He was drafted by the Eagles, who settled on him, and he made his way up to replace the former number 2 overall pick and runner-up for league MVP in 2017, Carson Wentz, supplanted him as the starting quarterback. The Eagles benched Carson Wentz, and they traded him away because they said, okay, you know what? We might have something in this kid. And then he goes and he works his way up to the runner-up for league MVP in 2023. Unbelievable stuff from Jalen Hurts. Talk about an underdog story, this guy. I get it. Brock Purdy it was a cool story. Last overall pick. He helped the team to a 13-4 record. All that's fine and good, but it doesn't compare to what Hurts did because Purdy just too small a sample size. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes, come on. His second year in the league, he threw 50 touchdown passes. I mean, he's been one of the best from the start. But he was taken 10th overall, and he was going to be a project, but he didn't even start the first year. So looking at Jalen Hurts, I mean, it's a slam dunk. And in the same way that CJ is rooting for the Eagles in the Super Bowl, that's kind of going to be me. It's like this guy, he deserves it. He really does deserve it. and then he could hold up a big old middle finger to all of those Eagles fans who were doubting him. And everyone, the Eagles who actually gave up, who didn't think that he was all that much, they settled on him because there was no one else in the other positions of need who was available at the time. So it's all good stuff there. So props to Jalen Hurts on a great career so far. And he's only 24. Unbelievable. All right. So we're going to move on to our last segment of the show, which is the fan box. And we're going to continue with our Super Bowl coverage with that by asking our fans, we asked you guys, who is a potential X factor in Super Bowl 57? You won't want to miss that. That's next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting, Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, Justin Tucker. All right, so we've reached the Fumblerooski fan box where we post a question filter on our Instagram every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more, and we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. All right, so the question of the week was, who is one potential X factor for Super Bowl 57? We got some good answers, starting with Isaac Zonana, who said Jalen Hurts for the Eagles and Kelsey for the Chiefs. Wouldn't do jack without him. So I'm glad he said Kelsey for the Chiefs, because if you said Kelsey for any other matchup, you'd be like, okay, yep, I got it. Travis Kelsey. Okay. Jason Kelsey. Got it. Okay. But if you just say Kelsey, which is what Jimmy Watts said, our other responder, who just said Kelsey, dude, come on, man. You got to be more specific.
That's a good one. Either or, he could be right. Either or.
One said Travis, one said Jason. That's what I believe.
Yeah. So Isaac Zonana, Jalen Hurts. I mean, we've already talked about Jalen Hurts. He's had quite the season. So, I mean, it all run like the roster around him is good. So, as we said during the off season about Jalen Hurts, it's put up or shut up. Everything else around you is working. You just got to do the job, do the work, and just do it one more time. So Jimmy Watts, he said Kelsey. We kind of already covered that. Tyson Tate said Hassan Reddick easily.
Oh, that's good. This one specifically, yes. If he plays like he did in the NFC Championship game, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, all of the pieces are in place for him to make that sort of impact, because their quarterback's hurt with a high ankle sprain. And while he's been able to produce, it's still affecting him to an extent. You can still clearly see that he's hobbled. He was limping around on the field during the AFC Championship game. Granted, it's going to be 2 weeks removed from that one game, but it's still that's still pretty significant. A high ankle sprain doesn't go away overnight, let alone 2 weeks. So, I mean, that's just perfect for Hassan Reddick, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Brogdon Hill said Harrison Butker. So if this comes down to a field goal wins it, if you're the announcers, don't put up the stats for his recent makes. Like, hasn't missed a kick since week 8 this season.
Yeah.
I can already hear Tony Romo saying it, or whoever it's going to be. I don't think.
Oh boy, you're just asking for a jinx there. I hate it when those happen, especially if you're the fan of the team that they're putting the stats on for. Like don't do that to me. Don't do that. Ian Mulhern said he just said defense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, defense does win championships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be. I mean, yeah. A lot of people say like defense, maybe kind of defense, but I would say balance wins championships because you don't see a team that's just built solely on defense who wins the Super Bowl.
Defense and running the ball is one Adam Wright once said.
Yep.
It wins games, but it doesn't win you Super Bowls.
It won Denver a Super Bowl. It won Denver a Super Bowl.
Won New England a Super Bowl.
Flash in the pan. Flash in the pan. Those days are over.
So,
Yeah, I do agree though.
Listen, those days used to happen, but we're at a day and age where it's balance. Balance wins championships. All right. So Eli Turner said Rick Lovato. So the Eagles long snapper.
Rick Lovato.
he could cost them the game. He could.
Rick Lovato.
That could be an X. It's you can't see him being an X factor for the reason the Eagles win it though.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, guys. Rick
If you make-
Lovato. That's all I'm gonna say. Ooh.
Maybe he makes a fumble recovery or he makes a hit that makes somebody fumble. You never know.
I swear to God, if Rick Lovato does that, I'm gonna DM this guy and be like, "Hey, are you a wizard or something?"
All right. Nick Norman said Jerick McKinnon. Eagles have a great pass rush, and KC will counter with the screen game.
Thank you, Nick.
That's a good one.
Thank you. He was correct.
Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, I mean, they're going to have to counter with that because, I mean, I like the Chiefs' offensive line. It's pretty good. But when you take that offensive line and put it against the best defensive line in all of football by like a mile, then you kind of have to counter with playing a little dink and dunk here, using that screen game, throwing in the flats. That's gonna be what helps you win that game, not by just playing vertical like you used to with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Jad Noman said Patty or AJ Brown. So naming the star players from each team. And AJ Brown has been a big time difference maker this year for that Eagles offense, especially since they are kind of run first. It allows them to be less one-dimensional. Teams can't just plug up the run and just call it a day. They have to respect a player like A.J. Brown on top of Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, which is huge. It helps them because they have to respect both sides of that offense. And then Patrick Mahomes, that speaks levels, not just positively for the Chiefs, but negatively as well, because if they lose, it could be because of his injury, because he's not able to run as much as he would like to, which is an X factor. That's by definition an X factor. So we have Daniel Blaziak, who responded with 3 answers. His first one was Kelce. Guys,
They're
come
doing
on.
it on purpose now.
I know they're doing it on purpose.
It's the Kelce Bowl.
The Kelce Bowl, the Kelce brothers. That is pretty wild, though, isn't it? 2 brothers. You happen to make it to the NFL. You both become all pros. You make the Super Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but what about 2 brothers that make the Super Bowl together on the same team and win? I remember that happened once. That was pretty impressive. Absolutely.
All right. The other response was the refs, which I guess
Yes, that could be a thing.
I guess that could be a thing, but I don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a call. I don't remember the refs ever being, ooh, maybe I do. Super Bowl 52. Yeah.
Let it go. They were in the right. That was a touchdown. Both plays were
That was
a touchdown.
not a
No, it
touchdown.
wasn't.
The
It
Clement
was a
touchdown was not a
touchdown.
touchdown.
He never had control.
We'll never agree on this. Let's just move on.
He never had control. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
2 feet down.
It doesn't happen often though, which is something that we can say is a good thing. It doesn't happen often where the refs get in the way of the Super Bowl.
You get for the Saints.
Yeah, but that was the title game, the NFC Championship. And I do see some calls being questionable there in the title games. But Super Bowl, that's been a bright spot. Officiating, it's been, for the most part, pretty solid. Coin toss. Daniel Blasiak also said coin toss.
Buffalo fans, am I right?
It could be a factor, but I just listen. If your team has a good enough defense so that you can stop the team who wins the coin toss, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But when I hear players on offense saying they lost on a coin flip, you are basically saying, I don't believe in my defense. And I think whoever is on defense, whoever hears that from an offensive player, from a Travis Kelce of the world on defense saying, dude, I hope he said, like what the hell? All right. Jack McNamara said Kadarius Toney. And as I said before, Kadarius, he is the type of player who could be a non-factor because of his injury history. Or he could be one of the most explosive players on the field. There really isn't any in between. When that guy's healthy, he can play. He plays really well. A poor man's Deebo Samuel. That is what I'll put it as. CJ, Tuck, you're shaking your head.
I don't see a poor man's Deebo Samuel. I don't think Deebo can move like Kadarius can move.
Oh.
So you think Kadarius Toney's better?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think Deebo's the better player, but I don't think they're comparable.
Okay.
They're just different.
All right. Tiny Tim Adventures. So he doesn't have a last name, just Tiny Tim Adventures. Said Devin Allen. So we had to look this guy up. So he was an Olympic finalist in 2016 and 2021. Which events was it for? Was it for hurdles?
Yes, it was for
hurdles. So 110 meter hurdles in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro and 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. And he is also in the NFL, but he's there as a practice squad guy. But he is still, there's a possibility he wins a Super Bowl. Not as much of a factor, but he gets a ring and he's a finalist in the Olympics twice. That's kind of a rare feat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, he's probably not going to be an X factor, but it's an honorable mention that this guy has a possibility. That's a nice storyline for this game and more reason to root for the Eagles. And I don't hate the Chiefs. Just, I'm kind of rooting for Jalen Hurts. The more I sit in this matchup, the more, at first I wanted nothing to do with the Eagles winning this game. The more I sit in this matchup, the more I think I kind of want the Eagles to win this.
Yes.
I want them to win this.
Honestly, I don't hate either team. I mean, for the Chiefs, I like Mahomes. I like Kadarius Toney and among others, and Chris Jones. And for Philly, I like Darius Slay. I like Jalen Hurts. I like A.J. Brown. But good Lord, I do not like either of their fan bases.
Why don't you like the Eagles fan base? I mean, they didn't. It's not like they beat you on the Super Bowl or anything.
Even before that, I've never liked their fan base. They have one of the most deranged and violent fan bases. If you go to Lincoln Financial Field in the opposing jersey colors, you're almost asking to get assaulted.
Yeah, they are not nice, especially the Cowboys.
Exactly. Also, then there's the Chiefs, where most of their fan base is represented by Mahomes' awful brother and wife.
Listen,
Yeah, but you can't put that on the rest of the Chiefs fan base.
you can't hold it
They
against
allow
them.
it.
You want them to
Okay.
do something with stop? Not while Mahomes is there. That's not going to happen.
I don't think they do allow it. I can't name a person who likes who really likes how Mahomes' family represents his family member in Patrick
Fine.
Mahomes.
Very well, I'll allow it.
I mean, like, do you ever see anybody say like, "Oh, we really like Mahomes' brother, Jackson Mahomes, that
No.
he's a good guy. He represents this fan base really well." I've never seen that before.
No.
All right, long story short, I don't want him or Brittany to be all on TikTok going, "Oh my God, we're so good." Like, no. Mahomes is good. You two are side characters.
Yeah. All right. I want to end this show, and I want to end it by, listen, as much as we have been really pro Eagles today, just one more shout out for Patrick Mahomes, who's probably going to win league MVP and did it with his best wide receiver being Juju Smith-Schuster. Good wide receiver in his own right, but he's no wide receiver one. And also Kadarius Toney, who's injured half the time. And also Marcus Valdes-Scantling, who catches only half the balls that are thrown to him.
If that.
Like, wow. That's unbelievable. And Mecole Hardman is a pretty productive receiver in his own rights as well. And don't forget Travis Kelce. We don't like Travis Kelce, but he's a good player. But just another shout out to that guy. 41 touchdowns. That is, with that supporting cast, that is incredible. That is something to revel at. All right. So anything else before we end the show tonight?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you for the Super Bowl. Over and out.